Our next speaker, as John mentioned and others, is a close friend of the TSC, Professor Lenny Koh from the University of Sheffield. Lenny is the founder and director of the Advanced Resource Efficiency Centre, ARIC, at the University of Sheffield. And her work contributes to advancing the understanding and resolution of complex supply chains using interdisciplinary approaches crossing supply chain management and information. So, trying to give some explanation to that, I'll hand you over to Lenny to do so herself.
Thank you, Dr. Toby. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me from the back? It's great, thank you. Thank you very much for the nice introduction, Toby, and the leading in from John. And thank you for the interest from everybody to the event today to really discuss and debate about the potential of blockchain in transport and how blockchain may disrupt transport now and in the future going forward. And as John has mentioned, this is a very exciting and emerging technology. It has so much potential, but how it is going to add value and how it's going to take things forward is a big question, and it's something that we would like to share and discuss. And within this framework, we are going to present some of the key findings and results from a project that we do together in partnership between University of Sheffield and the Transport System Catapult, led by myself and the team, and with Charles Carter here in the Transport System Catapult, and with John's involvement. I think majority of the team members involved in this project are here today. So this is just a brief intro in terms of the points that I will go through in my talk today, really to talk about the models and how it affects future transport, especially in the context of mass mobility as a service, and present some examples of blockchain use cases. I think today there are various speakers that will talk about various types of blockchain use cases in various industry and sectors as well. And to show one specific key findings from our project in terms of how blockchain add value to the users, and then the ease of implementation in that process, and then make some recommendations going forward. So, we are living in a world where there are a lot of digitalization, less human intervention, less manual work, and a lot of data and big data flow and interconnect with each other. So we are moving away or towards the direction of an M-to-M economy, machine-to-machine economy. And within that context is how transport will be digitalized, okay, smart transport. And within that, there are various technology, disruptive technologies that may contribute to that direction, including blockchain. But obviously, there are other technologies as well, such as autonomous vehicle, drones, virtual augmented and mixed reality, cloud, machine learning, and so on. I think there are a lot of experts in the room that probably are working in one or more of these areas. So according to Jaguar Land Rover in Motion, which is a key vehicle set up to look at the potential of blockchain, as with Bluetooth and wireless, blockchain will be embedded naturally into solutions going forward, so it has great potential. So for experts who are operating in this particular sector, I'm sure you will be aware of the Gartner hype cycle. And there are various technology that are actually within this landscape that we should be aware of. So obviously blockchain is one of the key emerging and disruptive technology amongst other technology. So it starts from the innovation trigger as the initial point, and then it will go to the scale up and production phase. So if you look at this particular Gartner hype cycle 2017, blockchain is moving towards a little bit more maturity in this process. But you can see there are other types of technology within that context. So what is the relevance of blockchain in smart transport? So within transport, we cannot ignore the possibility of looking at it from the lens of multi-modality. So air, land, and water. So we have key stakeholders in the room that deal with the aviation sector. We also have other key stakeholders in the room that deal with the rail sector, for instance, and then on road transport and others. So these are really, really important key players, and huge benefits and potential can be exploited by considering the use of blockchain in this particular area. And it has multiple applications, for instance, improving trust in the machine-to-machine economy, as I mentioned before, allow payment to take place, which will, getting rid a lot of the resource inefficiency and operational inefficiency in that process, reduce the possibility of tampering, so improve security, a single version of truth, so that will obviously enhance the validity and security in that process. In the academic literature, there are some research that are emerging in this area, again, because it is an emerging technology and there's still more work to be done and a lot of potential going forward. So this is just one of the paper by Yuan et al. 2016. So I did mention a little bit about the context of mobility as a service and MaaS. So the key difference between the blockchain environment MaaS and the traditional environment MaaS is that the traditional version is very centralized, so it's controlled by a platform-based technology. But we are moving away from this to a more decentralized MaaS, allowing distributed of services to all of the key stakeholders in that network. So that is the direction. So this is a key difference between a centralized version of MaaS v. decentralized version of MaaS. And there are various use cases. And John mentioned a couple of examples such as diamond supply chain. There are plenty of use cases available. Improving supply chain integrity in the freight and logistics sector, data sharing, autonomous systems, using smart contract, and so on. So there are quite, a lot of potential here. In the later part of my talk, I'm going to showcase some examples in a while. So what is the innovation? What is new? What is disruptive in this particular direction going forward for MaaS? So the platform version of MaaS 2018 to 2023 is really about winner taking it all, integrated, and not very flexible, and not very good in terms of distribution of wealth, and not too innovative. But the blockchain version of MaaS from 2023 projected beyond is that it will change the market dynamic completely. So there will be more entrepreneurs, more startups, more businesses, high-tech businesses. They will come together to revolutionize the potential of blockchain in diverse sectors. So the policy will change because at the moment there is not yet an international standard for blockchain, but I think one is emerging. Yesterday I was in London with the BSI. We briefly discussed about this. But I think, this sort of thing is very, very important. There needs to be some sort of a guidance, to push this going forward. So there are a lot of change, and it's for reaping the great potential of the possibility of the disruption of blockchain to improve the service for users for mobility. So a key findings in our report is how blockchain can change the way in which we manage our data. There are multi-layer and multi-stakeholders involved in our data. So we describe this as blockchain data passport process, where from the key centralized owners from the government, for instance, so this sort of data a data passport can be set up at that level where consensus take place automatically, and then passing through to a data analytics company, and then again consensus taking place automatically. If it is in a context of a service provider that manage the movement of drone and autonomous system for aviation, whether this is for passengers or for cargo, then there is another layer here in terms of merging and forking those data in order to reach to a single version of truth without human intervention. And then, therefore, you get the point where you get a single version of truth of data passport process. Okay, so this is one example in which how a blockchain can revolutionize and making sure that the data that you got and received is valid. I think as part of the program today, we have speaker from Gospel and Travel AI. They will talk about these particular use cases in more detail about how blockchain enable personal transport data sharing processes. Ledger of Things is very important. We have heard very frequently about the term Internet of Things, IoT, but Ledger of Things really is looking into how different data that we gather from different smart devices are integrated together, and through maybe a smart cities environment. In this picture, data from vehicles, intelligent transport systems, traffic signals, electric bikes, and so on, and how all of this data will be analyzed and optimized for better value for users and for citizens. This is very, very important. So that enable the delivery for smart cities context as well as for transport, because they are kind of interconnected. But obviously, we know there are plenty of benefits and potential and value of blockchain, but there are also some challenges. So these are some of the examples of the potential benefits and challenges of blockchain. So just mention one example. So it requires trust. So trust between different players in that network is really, really key. I'm sure other speakers today will talk a little bit more about how that can be achieved. So from our research and that project, this is also another key findings from that project. We identify from the literature top 10 blockchain use cases and map them across two key measures, namely the level or the degree of blockchain value add in that process, small or large, against blockchain implementation easiness, hard or easy. So very standard 2x2 matrix. So the result shows the high priority, meaning the top right-hand quadrant in the matrix, indicating very easy to implement for blockchain, and also with high value add areas such as authenticated components, so making sure that no tampering, no counterfeiting, for instance, supply chain transparency, trusted vehicle information, dynamic insurance, very important, especially moving towards autonomous vehicle environment in a not too distant future, and smart logistic and ticketing. But obviously there are others as well. And there may be other blockchain use cases that emerge that can be mapped across the 2x2 matrix. So obviously this is going to evolve. From our study, we also interview a couple of key stakeholders in that process. So these are some of the key messages emerge from that process. And one of the key quotes that we gather from IBM, Matt Jones, is that blockchain allows you to take a key event data about the vehicle, its history, and its journey, and prove this beyond doubt to interested parties, the fleet operator, financing company, end user, or regulator. So it is that, again, the idea of validity, trust, a single version of truth that will enable the machine-to-machine economy. So I'm going to show some example. So one of the use cases is self-authenticating blockchain-based IoT drones delivery. So there are plenty of examples that probably are already in the public domain about EV and autonomous vehicle, but maybe not too many around the area of drones delivery, because probably this is still at the emerging phase. So this is some of the work being carried out by a startup based in San Francisco, looking at implementation of blockchain in delivering packages to a home without human intervention. Okay. Another example is the possibility of using this in the context of sharing transport infrastructure. So as I mentioned before, EV, very important going forward, I think, in the automotive sector. And then how this is going to interlink and maximize the use of limited availability of a charging facility. So maybe blockchain can help in that process to improve efficiency of utilization of resources, in this case, the charging infrastructure. Another idea, an example, is blockchain for a single trusted identity. So CITALab has done fantastic work in evaluating blockchain for a single reusable global digital travel token for passenger. So again, this is very useful, and obviously for the aviation, for the rail operator and others as well. So it's very, very interesting potential here in terms of, I think time's up. Maybe it has been up for a long while. Sorry. These are some of the key takeaways in terms of, what are the big messages. So at present, so it is an evolving technology. It has enormous potential across different sectors. Future, maybe in terms of our transport resources and infrastructure, bigger fleets and smaller private ownership will emerge as a result of that change. It is really about, mobility as a service. Mobility data is the new currency, and moving to M2M economy. You can also see how it will work, and the identification of, some of the barriers are important throughout this process. And what are our, kind of high-level recommendations going forward is potentially to set up maybe a community of interest. So today, event is very, very important. So this could be a potential huge group of community of interest, interesting in this area going forward. So maybe we can meet more frequently to share our knowledge and idea in terms of this innovation and how we can maximize this opportunity together for the benefit of all key stakeholders involved. Stimulation of some, collaborative research and development competition to maximize use cases opportunity. Maybe also expanding it to the communities of mass, which exists already, and also data sharing community with the Data Science Institute, for instance, and leveraging the City of London's blockchain capability, which obviously started from fintech. So we need to think about how this can be leveraged. So the idea is, obviously blockchain is one of the key disruptive technology, but amongst the context of IoT and AI, and then how this can potentially converge into a technological singularity. So we would like to acknowledge all of the partners involved in this project, the interviewers and the interviewees and the researchers, and the whole team who are involved in this, including Charles, Michelle, Kim, John, James, Sam, Ashi, and Kartik. Thank you very much.